Make Fantasy Football Great Again League is back at it, and we've got a lot of tasty morsels to dig into from week one. So grab a spoon and a knife and get ready. That stuff. And honestly, some of the new designs. The black and the Saints.
I've officially given up on Taysom Hill. I'm sorry. Welcome to the Chuck&DavePod.
I'm Chuck.
And I'm Dave.
Here's our pod.
And here is our pod.
We are back. The week one is out. We are underway.
It was a crazy week one. That's all I can say.
It sure was. It defied a lot of expectations, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think you had a little bit of a reality check finally.
Yeah, I mean, last year was fun, but, I didn't think all last year. I was like, you know what, this isn't going to happen again for like many years, if ever. But, to actually feel that happen is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So, lots of games this week.
Now you know how I felt being in the bottom for 2 years.
You have been in the bottom.
Years. Now, I will say, I say this about the real NFL season, but it's week one, and week one is pretty much does not count.
A win's still a win. So if
a win is a win.
You were able to eke out a win, you got yourself a little buffer in there. But yes, week one in fantasy, as with many of the players that we thought would do much better, is just what it is, and it'll definitely change. The fortunate thing about fantasy is that you really can't dig too well into the waivers and get that lineup set until you're like 5 or 6 weeks in and you really know how players are, and by that time it's too late.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of how was your draft and how are those early waiver digs going to go?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Although, I mean, like I had Dameon Pierce. We got real late in the season, probably like week 5 or 6.
And that helped you get to 6th place. So
Josh says, don't take away my win. We're never going to take away your win, Josh.
Only one person can, and that's he himself.
That was the Make Fantasy Football Great Again game of the week was against Chuck and the Poning Polecats, and Josh and the Tharsis Jackals. So it's
we should have a game of the week every week.
Yeah.
I could have a good idea there for what this week
game of the week. Oh yeah, because I mean, like Fox does a game of the week.
Yeah,
match the
I
week.
think maybe the commissioner could even after week 12, maybe we could flex some to the later timetable.
Yeah, do a little flexing to the later games. It was the championship rematch, and
we will dig into that.
Yeah.
Should we get into it? The game? We had week one. Obviously, the NFL itself had quite a few heavy hitters that did not pan out the way people thought it would. I know the Eagles in general underperformed. The Steelers were basically asleep. I know the Giants, nobody thought that they would get 0 at home on their first game.
The coach of the year last year laid an egg on the field.
I mean, honestly, to be fair,
at home,
he pretty much got coach of the year just because the Giants made the playoffs. So they they're not going to be a 40-0 team all year, but they're probably closer to that than a playoff team.
Yeah.
A couple of big paying quarterbacks, Danny Dimes just got his contract. Joe Burrow signed it the day before he went out there and kind of laid an egg. Guys not living up to their pedigree right now. So obviously that is definitely reflected. We also had some key injuries right off there. Actually, sorry, not many. When I was looking through everybody's lineups, only one team had anybody who started the season out, and that would be the Poning Polecats, who had 2 with Kelsey and Watson.
Oh.
Nobody else had anybody else who was out in week one on their teams. There were some questionables, but we might as well have called Rodgers as out.
I mean, that is super painful. I'm definitely not rooting for Rodgers in a football sense, but it kind of sucks that he got bumped out. And
I will actually say that I did not want him to be injured. Obviously, I want the Packers to get the first round pick. And just as a human,
Yeah.
I didn't want him to get injured, but I wanted him to lose. But now we're robbed of the opportunity to see what he does.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to my brother, and I said I was looking forward to actively rooting against him all season, and now I can't. So,
no, I know. Apparently, there was, I don't know if you heard about this, but a couple of weeks ago it came out, there was a bar in Milwaukee that was offering to pay the tabs of the patrons should Aaron Rodgers lose any game. Any week that he loses. And so once he was injured early on, all the patrons really just started going crazy because they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to lose. They just really up in their tabs. And then they all had to pay them because FTW.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that news when it broke, and they were like racking up the tab because they thought that the Jets were going to lose. And then all of a sudden, the end of night comes, and they're like, nope, now you got to pay.
Yeah, I think honestly, it shocks me that nobody wavered Zach Wilson. I think we need.
You think he needs to be like he should have been the one that everyone picked up?
He's available. I thought it was going to be a fight for him on the waivers.
No.
I'll be honest. I was looking at waivers, and I rarely had to look at waivers last year because my team was just so good. But this year, right away, week one, digging in, and I thought for sure there was going to be many people trying to grab someone on week one, and there was only me and I think one other person grabbed a waiver
this week.
This week,
this morning. So I know Jordan got Tua.
It was Josh. He got Van Jefferson for Michael Thomas.
No, Jordan's went.
No, he did that this afternoon. Sorry. Yeah, it was Josh.
Jordan went with Tua because he dropped Aaron Rodgers. And then, Josh got Michael Thomas. And I late picked up
Michael Thomas, I don't think was a waiver. I think he picked him up on his own.
Yeah, same thing with Romeo Doubs for me. I picked him up.
And the Washington defense for the Destroyers dropped in favor of Cleveland.
Interesting choice. Well, I mean, I guess Washington stinks. So,
all right. Well, let's get looking at
Let's go to look at
matchup. Should we start with the championship rematch? You know, everybody probably had. We're talking about the two top teams last year who ended up fighting tooth and nail for the lowest score of the week award.
And it was a slim margin, very slim margin.
Yeah, it was a doozy. I'll tell you that. I thought for sure. I was nervous all week because I saw how close we were just in the projections. But then, man, that whole afternoon slot, I just kept being like, come on, Metcalf, Allen, Henry, Hurts, somebody just catch one more pass, get a few more yards, anything. And nobody was doing a thing. It was just miserable. In fact, I think Hurts lost a fumble and went backwards on points at one point. Maybe he didn't, and then it just barely he was able to pass me by that one point.
And I mean, his tight end didn't do anything.
No, he had a blank in there, and I wasn't able to overcome that. And that is always,
I mean,
hurts.
I'm kind of looking matchup wise. So you tied on defense, you beat him in the kicker, you beat him in your flex, you beat him in your tight end. He beat you total. He basically doubled your.
He really beat me in wide receivers, but I beat him wide receivers. He beat me running backs, but he killed me in quarterback.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts only getting 12 points. That hurts.
I don't think that's going to be the norm, but it was a rough start.
Yes, Alex, he did lose by 1 point. Technically, I think it was less than no,
it was
1.23 points. 1.23 points. Yeah.
1.23. So it is currently the smallest margin of the year. So hopefully we can keep that. Although all the games are pretty tight. Here's what I had some notes here. I wrote the Jackals, I believe, this week get the award for worst benching.
Yes, for sure.
With both Ayuk and Pittman, but especially Ayuk. But both wide receivers that he put on the bench significantly outperformed the two that he had. He would have had a very high score had he swapped out. I mean, we're talking like 30 points more probably if he had done that. And I know that hurt. Now, I don't know. And looking at those, I don't know that I could have said beforehand. I would have been like, yeah, you got to bench Waddle.
Yeah, Waddle or I don't know. I'm not a huge Amari Cooper. I
Maybe
am not
Cooper.
bought into the Amari Cooper experiment, and he was good for like
He generally
he was good.
doesn't.
He
do
was good for like
suspension.
1 year, and then he got
In the
paid
NFL,
a
that's all you
ton of
need.
money, and just went
And I can get where
downhill.
Josh was coming from because both Ayuk and Pittman had question marks at quarterback. Was Purdy going to be the same guy? Is Richardson going to be able to get it? You know, so I get that. We'll see how it goes going forward. I think, what did I write here? With a tight end scoring 0 and that firepower. Okay, so I think just my outlook, I kind of wrote my outlook for each team too, kind of going forward. And I said that with his tight end scoring 0, that's not going to happen all the time. And he obviously has firepower on the bench. I think the Jackals are going to bounce back if he has the right guys in.
I mean, I think you'll bounce back too. It's not like you got this. No. You think you're going to be in the bottom?
Let's get to me. I think it's time to start talking about a potential championship curse.
Jordan.
We saw Jordan go from 1 to 8, and now so far I'm number 8.
1 game in, and you're the last, and that's only because you scored the least amount of points.
1 game in, and I'm last. It also, and I think you'll be very happy to hear this. Had I won this game, I would have tied you for the longest winning streak at 9 games in a. But this snapped it at 8, and you continue to hold that record. So congratulations to you. I think that was when you had your 2 championships in a row span on there. So it's a fairly old record at this point. I think the Polecats getting Kelsey back will help, obviously. Hurts is not going to be getting 12 points a week. But I think that I still have a lot of big questions at the receiver and running back positions that could haunt me all year. I really started thinking maybe keeping a quarterback was not.
I mean, again, idea. Travis Kelce, though, once he's healthy, it's like a guaranteed 20 points. Like you're going to guarantee like 15 to 20 points.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and Christian Watson probably is a good guaranteed like 10 points.
I think he'll probably develop in there, but can he stay healthy? You know, he's had issues with that. I know it just kind of dawned on me as I was looking for waivers. I'm going through lots of different websites, looking at their rankings for week 2. And like consistently, I had only Derrick Henry in the top 20, 25 players.
Oh, really?
Kelsey was in there too. We don't know for sure if he's going to play yet, though. But not all my other guys are sub 30.
Wow.
And maybe that's just this week, and maybe they'll prove it and move up, but they will, because quarterbacks, because it's for flex position, so quarterback doesn't get committed and stuff like that. I feel like I was let down by my Baltimore defense against Houston. 11 was solid, but I think they could have done better.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Next one.
Tight game. Next one. What should we do?
We can do mine. McRib versus the Fighting Fergals. This is the household battle. Battle.
You guys have a little trophy that you pass back and forth to each other for the defending?
That'd be a good idea. But no. My wife was very spiteful that I won, but she's very competitive, so it hurt. I mean, having T. Higgins score 0 points, which is insane. Like he's the number 2.
You know, I'm going to be honest. I always felt like T. Higgins was rated decently all through last year, and then never really followed up on it. But I'm not saying he deserved a 0. That still shocks me. But that just tells you how the Bengals day was.
She struggled. I mean, the biggest hit for her is J.K. Dobbins is out for the year, and that was like I think probably her round 2 pickup. I'm assuming she got J.K. Dobbins in the second round because she probably got Stephon Diggs in the first.
But I think her bench is
bare. Breece Hall. He's gonna basically because they're not gonna let Zach Wilson throw for like ever. So Breece Hall is going to be the workhorse.
It's going to be the Hall and Cook show.
So I think she'll be fine. Marquise Brown should get better. And there's
Patrick Mahomes won't be putting up 15s every week.
No. And I'm hoping Lamar Jackson isn't putting up 5.5s every week either.
He should not be.
That was brutal. But man, Eckler, he came through.
I had Eckler last year, and I so wish I could have had him as my keeper, but he's my first round
so
pick.
Good.
He is fire, man. He is.
That was a great pickup. I was so glad that I was able to get him because he did do really well for you last year. Although he's hurt now, so I don't know if he'll even play next week.
Yeah, I know. He'll be fine for the season, though, I think.
Although, do I switch out Lamar and Jordan Love? Like, that's kind of my...
Hey, let's wait on that until we talk about next week.
Okay.
Let's wait. I wrote here that the Fergals left feeling little pleasure from McRib.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Had the Fergals put literally anybody else in the flex position, they would have won, and that hurts.
Mm-hmm.
That hurts.
Yeah.
I put Breece Hall got the runner-up worst benching award of the week.
Yeah, that is true.
And I said McJackson will improve, and the McSkill players are very solid. So I can see, I see you continuing to do better.
Yeah, I should do okay. Although, like, I'm noticing that, like, I feel like at least Yahoo is capping my game off at around 105 points. So, like, they are not very, like, positive. Their outlook on
I
team
mean,
is not very positive.
And it's still early, so
yeah,
things will change.
Yeah, it's all right. How about let's talk about the Doge Destroyer? We'll wait till the powerhouse matchup till the end.
Yeah, I think the Doge Destroyers, welcome to the league. You got your first taste and you're undefeated.
Tyreek Hill, man. Tyreek Hill.
He is something else.
Yeah.
Now,
plus, you're sitting with Cortland Sutton, Alexander Madison. You got a good deep team.
He's got some really high. I mean, Hill, Lamb, Barkley, and Etienne is a very good lineup of those four. If Mark Andrews back, he'll have a very serviceable tight end.
To be honest, Alex, I know you're a Bears fan, but I would not be riding Justin Fields this year.
Here's the thing.
Their offensive line is so bad.
He won't translate it into wins for the Bears, but because he runs enough, he's pretty decent in fantasy.
Yeah.
So, and he didn't get to do that against the Packers, but I'm sure he will eventually kind of break out. He doesn't even have another quarterback on his team right now.
He does not.
It's interesting.
And I think the North Shore Nincompoops will inevitably get better because Josh Allen is not going to score you 8 points every game.
No, he's not. And honestly, Carlson will probably do better than 5 most weeks as well. And I think Josh Jacobs will do better than that also. But it depends.
I mean, he's also pretty deep too.
I wrote that this was the most back and forth game of the weekend. Every time I checked the projections, it was like one, then the other, then the other. And Sam was like way ahead at one point, and then it kind of went back down, and then bam, it kind of popped. When you look at the little recap, the little lines are like zigzagging on that one. So it was definitely a good game to kind of follow. I said the Destroyers made off and Josh Allen having troubles. The Nincompoops had some solid performers. But I think these two teams look really evenly matched, and I think that their records and position are going to stay pretty close a lot of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if you checked any of the recaps, but for some reason in the recap, they refer to the Nincompoops exclusively as my fantasy team.
Oh, interesting.
They never use the name Nincompoops. They call them my fantasy team.
So remember in the draft recaps, both Sam and I's team, the AI didn't really know what to make of our team names. So like mine was called the like boss fantasy team.
So does it think that Nincompoops is a slang term? So it changes it to my fantasy team?
It's possible. It's possible that it's like some sort of weird or because they say poop in it, Maybe
Poop's pretty innocent, man.
I
For
actually,
adults playing fantasy football.
yeah, in a battle of mediocrity, my fantasy team narrowly defeated Fighting Fergals. Yeah, they did that to mine too.
Did the recap call you that still too?
It probably thinks the word pleasure is too
Sexual.
yeah, something like that.
What did it call your team? Did it still do that? Yeah, no, it just calls you my fantasy team as well.
Team. Yeah.
That's crazy. So there is a censor. We got to see. Can the Grand Commissioner turn off censorship?
Yeah, Josh, turn off
Let
the
the league
censorship.
be 18 plus.
Yes.
I'm sure he'll be getting his interns looking into that in the morning.
Yeah.
And that leaves one last game, the most exciting game, really. And actually, it was probably the least exciting game up until Sunday night when Dallas decided to put up 39 points in defense because the Bulldogs were going nowhere fast. And then that happened, and they were suddenly relevant. And then on top of it, they had one of the highest kicker scores you can get at almost 16 with Tyler Bass.
Although Jordan got, what was it? Elliott got higher than him. Jordan got 21.53 points.
Oh, yeah, gosh, yeah, so he did. That's because, that game turned into a kickoff-a-thon or a field goal-a-thon. And he had a very high defense, too. I mean, these teams are very high on the specials overall. But look at the bench. Look at Todd's bench. He got 39 on his starting defense and 23 on his bench defense. 16 on his starting kicker and 12 on his bench kicker. He has the best of all these players that don't matter.
Think if Joe Burrow, he switched out Joe Burrow with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, that's an extra 17 points. He would have 150 points plus.
Well, it's 14 points here to go.
Yeah, 14 points. I mean, if Addison switched out with Jamar Chase, I mean, like,
which he would
no, that's or not. Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, if he had done that as his flex, he'd be looking at 150.
Yeah, that's insane.
But it's just crazy to me what he has there. I said the Bulldogs are picking up right where they left off in the regular season. They did terribly in the playoffs last year, but did very, very well in the regular season, and it seems like he's poised to do that again. But honestly, too, if you don't have the Rodgers injury, this game is different. Does he score more than 12? I don't know. Maybe we had a lot of quarterbacks that didn't score 12 this week. I don't know if he would have or not, but there's certainly a very decent chance that Jordan starts off with a win. And, that hurt. Watch that. I think honestly, and I wrote this down yesterday before waivers. For Jordy, I wrote it's Richardson time. I said there's bound to be some struggling games, but he obviously can get the points. And outside of running backs, this team still needs to prove something. And then he went and took Tua. I'm not sold on the Tua, but we can get to that when we're looking forward.
I mean, yeah, we'll look at that. I have thoughts on that. I mean, I was the one who kind of talked him into drafting Tua or picking up Tua, but I think because I almost thought about it, but I'm like, Lamar's pretty good, and I'm just gonna have faith with Lamar for now. But
yeah,
all right,
yeah. Well, what was our last thing? Where are you the picks from last week because they were not very good.
They were not.
This was Josh getting 3 of the 4. Otherwise, 2 people got 1 of 3, and then 3 got 2 on 2 and 2. I think the most
Sam did not join in.
Sam and Alex did not join in. No, I'm sure they will this time though.
Well, I mean, Sam did ask us to explain the spreadsheet, which is, I thought, very simple, but
I think he was more just asking you to explain how spreadsheets in general work.
Oh yeah, probably. He probably just did not understand the concept of spreadsheets.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I would say the biggest upset according to this, let's see, Dave and Kara were split. Josh and Chuck were split pretty evenly. Todd went with this. Was Alex. Only one
Alex.
person
It was
picked Alex, and 5 people picked Sam. So that's the biggest upset. I will say I'm now keeping track of a new stat for 2023. I'm keeping track of every time a team loses when they were projected to win and wins when they were projected to be the underdog. And then throughout the year. And we had 2 games in this week where the underdog won. So see if anybody has a trend throughout the season of constantly having good projections and underperforming.
Okay. Yeah, it was, it was pretty even. Most people, it was 3-3-3-3. I mean, and Todd, most people picked Todd. Few people. Jordan obviously picked himself. Carol was the only person to pick Alex last week, and that was her only win.
She sees something that we didn't.
Apparently. So, all right. Injuries, obviously, Rodgers, J.K. Dobbins. Those are going to be
a couple others with Eckler and Kelsey.
Jordan basically not picking a keeper this year. That was, I think, it's
at least it was like
rough.
a round 12 keeper or 9 or whatever it was for him. So
yeah,
I mean, honestly, again, he only kept the play. Like, he had crap to pick from, and he picked the best of that crap. Rodgers was never going to be like a top 80 even fantasy option.
No, I know. Although
the fact that he didn't pick another quarterback is really what kind of started.
I thought Josh Jacobs. Jordan had Josh Jacobs for a 7th round pick. Was probably his best pick.
Yeah, I think that would have been better.
I don't know. Even Cole Kmet at 12 would have been better. Dak Prescott at 11. Anyway.
Basically, Jordan, you suck.
Yeah, Jordan, come on.
Get better.
All right. Well, we're going to hear a little bit from our sponsor right now.
A faithful sponsor.
Our faithful sponsor. Just trying to set something up here. Just hang on. Let's see if that works. All right. This episode is sponsored by Gasser's Ultra Organic Grass-Fed Fair Trade Nootropics. Dr. Josh Coeller has been a longtime friend of the show, and his proprietary blend of vitamins, minerals, and all-natural homeopathic plant enzymes are guaranteed to give you the illusion of well-being without actually changing anything at all. Okay. Each capsule contains all-natural, self-certified organic nutrients to help you feel better about polishing off that family-sized bag of Skittles, or when you just want to sit on the couch all day and play Fortnite. And now, this year, he is introducing the Gasser's Ultra Organic Grass-Fed Fair Trade Nootropics in a perfectly blended drink powder. Ooh. Just add to any ultra-filtered reverse osmosis water for easy, great tasting, an easy, great tasting energy drink. And it comes in 2 great flavors: organic potting soil and Kobe beef cow manure. Organic potting soil is my favorite.
Can't beat American Dirt.
I know. Please consult your yoga teacher, spiritual leader, or just Google to determine if Gasser's Ultra Organic Grass-Fed Fair Trade Nootropics are right for you. Side effects may include feelings of moral and intellectual superiority, delusions of grandeur, and a penchant towards collusion and tampering, and also bouts of extremely explosive diarrhea. To order your personalized set of Gasser's Ultra Organic Grass-Fed Fair Trade Nootropics, visit GUOGFFTN.com and use promo code Chuck&Dave, that's all one word, Chuck&Dave, at checkout for 18.73% off your first order. Remember, that's promo code Chuck&Dave so they know we sent you for 18.73% off. I mean...
Excellent stuff.
Yeah.
I know I have one every day, and I feel like I'm probably better than if I didn't.
I mean, yeah, right here. I mixed it into some vitamin water. I mean, it's pretty great.
Yeah. I mean, it tastes just like potting soil.
It tastes just like potting soil. It's super good. And you know when you're eating dirt that you're eating what plants eat. So, I mean, you're taking out the middleman.
Plants have been around for, millions of years. So you will be around for millions of years if you eat what plants eat.
I heard that he's trying to connect with Aaron Rodgers because something about possibly like extreme tendon repair is a something he's looking into.
All right. Well, I've got stats here. Actually, I started. I should have added this to the agenda. I'm sorry, but I decided to do a power ranking this year for the teams, and this is where I'm at right now with the teams. At number 8, I have the Polecats. I think there's a lot of work to do there. Number 7, I have the White Lightnings. I think there's a lot of work to do there too. Number 6, I put the Fergals. I think they've got some decent-sized holes, but good potential. The Jackals at number 5. I put the Destroyers at number 4, the Nincompoops at number 3, McRibbed at number 2, and the Bulldogs at number 1.
What made how did you figure out your the power rankings?
I went into it not just based on how the players did this last week, but how I think they will also bounce back. There are several players who did uncharacteristically poorly who I think will be fine going forward, and you don't want to overreact. And so I think that's why I put those teams where I did. That's why, even though I think, Josh got the win, it wasn't a super quality win, and I think he's got some holes, so I put him at number 5. And honestly, even though the Nincompoops got the loss, I put him at number 3 because I just think that the team is a little bit better than the Destroyers overall right now.
Okay.
I think if they played each other every week, they might have the edge.
Interesting.
We'll get some more pieces.
Well, I appreciate me being in number 2, so we'll have to track that throughout the season and see where people end up.
Where it shifts around there with things. And then I have 2 stats that I wanted to share this week. And the first one is Todd based. We all love Todd. Todd's resurgence last year into playing quality fantasy football made the league better, I think. Yeah. But he has been dominant in week 1 for long before last year.
Wow.
I was like, I'm pretty sure he scored a high score last year. No, he scored 132 this year. Last year, he started with 134. 2021, he started with 122. And in 2020, he started with 155.
What?
In the last 4 years, Todd has averaged 136 in his first week game.
That's pretty crazy.
Which is 13 points higher than second place, which is Kara, who averages 123.
Wow.
And the lowest is Jordan, averaging 97 points on his first week.
Sorry, Jordy.
Also, and this kind of ties into my next one, we had a historically low scoring week 1 for the league in general. And it's extra interesting to me because last year we talked many times about how it seemed like every year we just kept blowing scores out of the water. And then this year we start off much more subdued. In no other year has there been more than one team that scored under 100 in week 1, and we had 3 teams score under 100 in this week 1. Also, I'm just saying something's happened. But in the past years, the highest scoring on average was 2018, where everybody scored an average of 124. That was insane. 2 teams scored 144. There was a 155 and there was a 137. That was something. 2021, the average was 121. 2019 and 2022, it was 115. 2020, it was 119. But this week, we averaged only 104, which is 15 points less than the next closest year. And I just think that's pretty crazy that we did so low. Start.
Did our commissioner hear us as we talked about the inflating scores, and he's trying to
deflating scores this year, I guess.
He's trying to
warm.
Bring down the inflation a little bit.
I think he caught on last year that we were getting to his power creep, and like I gotta take it down. It'll just be interesting to see if the scores stay low.
Well, I have to say something, and I know Josh was on Discord and said nothing has changed, but are you kidding me, Josh? That quarterbacks for a passing touchdown only get 4 points. 4 points.
I thought it was 6 in the past.
Why wouldn't it be 6? That makes no sense. You know Wide receivers at 6, running backs at 6, defenses at 6, and all of a sudden quarterbacks, oh, you throw a touchdown? Oh, I guess it's not as hard.
I think I vaguely remember having a discussion with him a couple years ago and him saying it's not the same as catching the touchdown. They just kind of assisted.
They have to pinpoint the pass.
I'm just saying, I feel like maybe he did talk about that, but I don't know if you can look at the settings from previous years or not.
I doubt it.
We'll just tell you the current ones, but yeah, it should be 6. It's a total effort.
I mean, it's kind of my fault. It's our fault. Like, I didn't check on the settings before the league started, which I should have done.
I mean, would you have changed your quarterback to someone?
No, but I would have challenged him on the 6 point, like a 4 point thing. Like, what's the point of that? Like,
well, write it down for the next off season.
Because even though it might seem imbalanced, no, you didn't balance it, Josh. See, here's the deal. So just so everybody knows, Josh just chimed in. He says, I essentially balanced it. No, you didn't balance it. So the thing that automatically balances like a wide receiver touchdown and a running back touchdown from a quarterback touchdown, even though you're going to say, well, quarterbacks have a chance to throw for 3 touchdowns and a running back might only score 1 touchdown. Well, more points for yards. Who cares about yards? It's about touchdowns. What if you're on a team that has a good defense and puts you in good scoring position? You're saying that, like,
got to take that into account with your starting quarterback.
Like, you're going to get 150 yards and score 4 touchdowns, and you'll still lose to somebody who throws for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, which is nonsense.
Kickers are the same way. Kickers who are routinely have an offense that get them in the red zone and then have to kick are going to score you much worse than teams that stall out around midfield and do kicks.
So here's my main crux of this argument. So yes, but you get 2 wide receivers on every team, 2 running backs, and technically there's the flex. So you have a chance of 2.5 running backs, 2.5 wide receivers.
Or 1.5 tight ends.
But you get 1 quarterback. So you only get 1 quarterback. So you have to choose a good quarterback to try and get you touchdowns. And now you de-incentivized getting touchdowns. Like, you're turning the quarterback into a tight end. He's a useless. Might as well just make it all flex all across the board.
Ooh, I would like a team of all flexes.
Just, you get to choose whatever you want to do.
Full defense team.
All quarterbacks.
Well, I mean, obviously we're going to have to start writing our notes of off-season topics for next year already.
So, Josh, I disagree with your change of the rules. And we know you tinkered, and I know you said you didn't tinker, but we caught you red-handed. You're just tinkering the rules, tweaking the rules. You know, it's kind of suspicious that you're the one who got the highest picks, too. Like, just saying.
To be fair, I don't think he personally tinkers. I think he has Oompa Loompas.
Probably.
Or possibly that's what Rich does now. Maybe he retired to be executive assistant.
Probably. Well, he's plugged into the back of his office.
Yes, that's true. He is the power source. Well, let's get looking at next week.
Josh, I didn't realize it until this year. And yes, it was an issue last year because I would have probably won it all if you wouldn't have tinkered.
Yes, that would have done it. We all play by the same rules.
I mean, as a stats guy, so the last comment here. As a stats guy, doesn't it frustrate you that the rules get tinkered with every year because then it sets different precedences for every year?
It makes it hard to compare. Like when you go back to particularly the NFL days, when we were on NFL.com, the rules were so much more. I think we weren't even on PPR. So the scores are so low that you're going to, when it comes to career things, you're going to have low score stats that really aren't going to be touched and nobody there's a chance for it. But I mean, you kind of have that problem in real sports anyway when you look back at like the 1920s and 30s and 40s in football. Like they weren't doing things that, you're just not going to be able to compete. So it's just part of the nature as the games evolve, I guess, as they go.
I get it. All right. Let's move on.
On to next week.
Well, so I realized that all the winners are playing each other and all the losers are playing each other, which is pretty crazy.
So you're going to have a 2-0, you're going to have a 1-1, you're going to have a 2-0, you're going to have an 0-2, and you're going to have six 1-1s.
Yep. I mean, I guess there could be a tie. There could be a tie in there. Doubtful, but it could happen. Which would really love to see a tie fun with the decimals.
That would be something that would pique my interest. So far, we've only ever had one tie.
Yeah.
The dreaded Tankgate incident.
The dreaded Tankgate.
When you and Kara tied at 0.
Tied at 0. Yep. That was her fault. That was not my fault. That was my decision solely, and she just copied me.
It was poor strategy on her part, honestly.
Yes.
I'm looking back at last year, and it doesn't seem like there's a spot to go with settings. So we will never know what he does behind closed doors. All right. Who would you like to start with for next week?
Well, we can start with let's
start with the 0-1s.
Yes.
Start with the 0-1s, the Polecats and the Nincom. Sorry, and the My Fantasy team. And I think you need to add a little thing now, so every time we say the Nincompoops, it goes beep.
Alex, I would love to respond to wait, what? LOL. You didn't play any players? Oh yeah, so Alex is new to the group. So there was a situation.
Yeah, it was a dark day.
2 seasons ago where I was like really bad. My team was really bad, and I was looking forward. I was very upset about it. I was looking forward to the first overall pick of the next year, so I knew I wasn't going to win. And all of a sudden, I noticed that Kara was projected to do much worse than me in the consolation bracket, and this was before we had the rule in which the consolation bracket basically stops. I did not tank, Josh. I got rid of all my players because I wanted that first pick, which I deserved because I was fighting for this whole, don't make the consolation bracket part of and Josh wasn't having anything of it.
There was quite a healthy debate. I do believe we heard from Rich briefly.
Yeah.
It was that he was debate.
Yeah, he always backed up Josh. So it was intense, but the
tiebreaker went to Kara. Yeah. She won. She was credited with the win.
Yep. So what ended up actually happening is because when I tanked, then Kara got this bright idea of, I'm going to tank. And so then we were sitting on this random face off of okay, when we're both at zeros, who's going to win this? And Kara had the tiebreaker because she either beat me before.
She had more points total in the year.
Points total in the year. So it ended up pushing me back. But there was some wonky stuff that happened with that because I remember right before the noon game, I'm sitting at a Packer game in the stadium and I'm checking my fantasy team, and somehow, some way, somebody put in a player. And you texted me and said, I see you put in a player. And I was like, no, I didn't. And so I quick checked it and I got rid of it. And I'm almost positive that Josh figured out a way to hack my team and put in a player just to kind of screw with me. And I was able to stop it real quick.
This is why we then detached the consolation bracket from the draft picks. And now this year where they don't even get a consolation bracket at the bottom. So,
but it was the defining moment of the league where Josh finally consolidated power as the supreme chancellor.
I would say that is when he because I believe the next year, because earlier in that year he had started to, because that was the same year we had the Barkley debate.
Yep, the Barkley debate.
In the preseason, we had the Barkley debate, and then we finished it with Tankgate. So it was quite a year of him
holding his power.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I was force choked. I know that. So
yeah, there were a lot of like much,
but it made the stats really awful, because if you go and look at the actual Yahoo stats, it will always forever now say that the worst of everything is from that game.
Yeah,
and it's miserable.
Josh did say I can adjust other rosters. So exactly, we knew it. We knew you overstepped your power.
Smoking gun right there.
Exactly. But I wouldn't. So he says he has the power.
This sounds like when OJ wrote the "If I Had Murdered Someone."
So Josh says, I can adjust other rosters, but I wouldn't.
I think with the Rich bot, you probably could have gotten rid of that.
But it says everything is recorded, so if I did, you'd see it. Would we?
Regular Nixon.
Because there's ways of falsifying the records.
Mm-hmm. I do know I was going in late that night to do some stats work at the league office, and I thought it was strange that the lights were on in the commissioner's suite.
Figured. I knew it. We get to the bottom of this eventually.
All right, let's look ahead.
All right.
Let's look ahead.
Yeah.
So we got the 2 0-1s against each other, the Polecats
and the
Nincompoops. Right now, the projection is for the Nincompoops. I know I'm not done. I am not sold on Harris. I think I took him in like the second round, but I think he might just suck this year.
He's been really like
I think he's got too much of a committee with the other running back. I don't know for sure if Kelsey's going to be playing. I did put Allgeier in as a flex. I think he's going to do really well, and Packers historically don't do great against running backs.
And they did well against the last one.
Breece Hall did pretty fine. Oh, I mean, that wasn't that game, was it?
No, it was, I don't even.
Well, yeah, it was.
I don't even.
It was the Bears. It was the Bears.
It was the Bears.
So I don't know if I have. I'm debating Nakua, because I think he's going to have some great potential this year, but I don't know if he's going to against the 49ers. If he's going to beat Metcalf or Allen. That's going to be a debate which wide receivers I put in.
I will say, and I'm not trying to give Sam any, even though he doesn't listen to the podcast fairly regularly, I don't think Darren Waller is going to play on Sunday. I thought I read an article today where it said that Darren Waller's injury looked pretty serious and he could be out for multiple weeks.
Mm-hmm. But otherwise, his team projections are pretty solid all the way down. I don't think I should start Baltimore, but I don't think there's anybody better to start.
Yeah, that's man. Against Cincinnati, though, if Cincinnati plays as well as they did before, it should be a good game.
It just looks to me like the Nincompoops are going to have some pretty decent underperformers in order for the Polecats to win this one.
You're not sold on Puka yet? Don't want to take a chance?
Well, I just said I don't know who to put in. Should I put him in over Metcalf? I don't know. Whoever I leave on the bench is going to score 2 touchdowns.
That's usually how it works.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. It could be, I think, but if you just look at it, I think the Polecats are going to need someone to really step up in order to win, or have the Nincompoops have someone kind of fall a little flat. So my pick is the Nincompoops.
And my pick, I think, was also the Nincompoops. And you said...
I will say here, and I will explain why I wrote things there. Alex me and wrote with Kelsey.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we can do qualifiers. So I added some qualifiers, and I said I picked Sam with Allen playing like Allen.
Well, I like it.
So obviously if Allen doesn't play like Allen and he loses, I still get the point.
If you want to add a little flavor text, that's fine. I don't care. This is always fun. Just expand it.
Who's next?
Yes. Who is next?
One of the 0-1s.
Yeah,
we got the other 0-1s here. The Fighting Virgils and the Appalachian White. Oh, so we're gonna have two 0-2s. Sorry.
Yeah, we
will have two
0-2s. This is like some of the closest projections right now.
It is super tight.
No, you can't do qualifiers. It's a joke, Alex. Like it's not like if they come true, like it doesn't count. He's just putting in the qualifiers.
It's a moral victory, though. It's a moral victory.
Yeah, sure. There you go. Because I mean,
like I called that.
Because you'll see one that obviously the spirit of Rich.
Yes.
So the projections on this game right now are razor thin. 0.27 point.
I would love to see it turn out that way.
Josh says, Alex doesn't understand jokes. No, Josh, I mean, to be fair, he's not technically been a part of this group for very long, so he may not understand Chuck's very, very dry sense of humor. Josh says he was ready to pick 32 players.
I like Alex. I got to say, I like Alex,
yeah,
and I can't wait to be on the podcast with us.
This is great. It's been great.
I always seem serious.
Yes, Chuck does always seem serious. It's very hard to read him sometimes. So I think, who did I pick for this? I think I picked Kara.
I'm not convinced in Tua. I know everywhere I've been reading stuff this week, everyone's like, the Dolphins have arrived. This is the Tua we knew would happen. If he doesn't get a concussion, it's going to be a year of breaking records. It's going to be, I don't know. He had one good game against the Chargers, who tend to kind of fall flat. I know he's had good games in the past, but teams are going to get onto him. It's not going to be letting Tyreek Hill run wild every game. He'll do a lot, but he's not going to be scoring 30 every week, you know? Now, who do they got, though, this week? They got New England.
It's good defense.
So, I mean, I don't know. He's probably better overall than than Richardson, but I think Richardson is going to do a lot of running and probably score some good points on his own. Whereas I don't know that Tua is going to be popping a lot of his own touchdowns.
Yeah.
Not saying it's the wrong choice. I'm just saying I'm not sold on the Tua wagon.
Yeah,
because we've been riding the Tua wagon since he was drafted like 4 years ago, and so far it has not developed.
I think Kara has the best team lineup potential because, I mean, Patrick Mahomes should be playing like Patrick Mahomes. Stephon Diggs should play like Stephon Diggs.
Now, will Hall be limited by Dallas's defense?
I mean, Detroit basically has no other wide receivers than Amon-Ra St. Brown, so he should get almost all the targets. Now, her running, yeah, T. Higgins. But she doesn't really have anybody else. Marquise Brown, maybe she could throw in there, but like Higgins should probably at least get 7 points.
He's not going to get 0 again.
No.
So I think my pick was Kara with Kansas City wide receivers actually catching passes.
Yeah. And that was the same with me. I picked her. So
I think, that's pretty much what I wrote. Let's get to the undefeateds.
Yeah, we've got the
where are you going?
I'm doing Tharsis Jackals versus Doge Destroyers.
Yeah.
So Alex sticking with Fields.
Well, he has no other options. We would have to go dive into the waivers.
Does not have any options, but he has an empty bench spot.
He has an empty bench
Alex,
spot.
You have an empty bench spot. You should fill it in.
Maybe pick up another quarterback. That's not Alex, though. That's
no.
Yeah,
Alex straight up has an empty bench spot.
What are the projections telling us? It's definitely leaning towards the Doge.
Yep.
I think his team looks a little more solid. We got Ayuk in the lineup now. I guess we'll see. Again, San Francisco is going to be good, but division games are always tricky. Yep. He's rolling with the other Atlanta running back, so we'll see how that goes for both of us. Leaving Pittman on the bench.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yes,
we will see. I said it's another tight one, although it's definitely gotten less tight, I guess, since last night. I said I think the Jackals will do better than last week, but the Destroyers will eke out the win.
I think you and I are both the same on this one too. Yep.
And I put the Doge Destroyers if the spirit of Rich is guiding his moves.
It probably will.
Don't trust the Colts offense. Somebody feels like they've been burned in the past.
Trust the Colts offense. I mean, that's a different Colts team than you don't have.
I had Michael Pittman last year, and I would have killed if any week he put up 18 points. So maybe he's going to be Richardson's guy, and he'll ball out. But I don't see Tyreek Hill putting up a 30, but I think he'll do better than 15.
Yes. CeeDee Lamb should do well against the Jets are going to be tough. Saquon Barkley.
The Jets defense is all they've got,
Saquon should do well. ETN.
I don't know, man. Arizona's defense did very well last week. And now they're playing the Commanders, but we're talking about the Giants who just put up 0. So
Carol would have kept ETN like I told her to. Instead of Patrick Mahomes, which she could have gotten in the normal draft. He scored 20 points last week. I'm just sick over that. Sick over that.
That's a good husband.
My wife doesn't listen to me.
Do any of them?
All right.
And lastly, we've got the big one. The Bulldogs and the McRibs.
Well, I obviously had to pick myself. I think I'm going to bounce back from my poor game last game. And I think I'm going to get more than 104 points. I did switch out Dalton King.
104 to 113. That's like the same exact. That's almost the same exact line that the Tharsis Jackals versus those Destroyers are.
I mean, they are giving me 0.14 more points than I scored last week.
They're thinking you're going to be very consistent.
And
I mean, I see both Jackson and Burrow are going to do better. So I think that's going to be a wash. I think the quarterbacks are basically a wash. I mean, the Dallas isn't going to score 40 again, but they very well could basically wash out Buffalo. Yeah. So I think that could also be. I think you have the edge with Eckler. But I think Chubb and Pollard is probably better than Eckler and Stevenson.
There are 6 bench spots, Alex, yes.
I wrote down that Burrow will improve, but so will Jackson. I actually had to kind of write this down. I thought wide receivers went in favor of you. Running backs went in favor of Todd. Tight end went in favor of Todd. Flex went in favor of you. And the specials went slightly in favor of Todd. So I gave my pick to Todd because how else is he going to get to 14-0?
He's supposed to.
So I put Todd if he's applying super auto draft skills.
Yep. Yeah, you only have 5 bench spots because you only have 5
players right now. You can add. If you go into the players thing and you're looking through them, you can hit plus and you can just add them. You won't have to drop anybody because you're rolling undermanned. Yeah. By the way, that makes me think, and maybe we got to write this down for next year too. Commissioner, I think we need to have a practice squad.
Ooh, that would be fun. But they have to. But they have to be like. They have to be under a certain like ranking, so it has to be like under 300 rank, like the top 300 players.
Yeah, but like anybody could take that player from you, just like in the normal practice squads. But you have to be able to match first. Like if someone's going to steal your player, it'll give you a little note, and you have like one day in or not. And if you don't put them in that week, then they go to the other player.
I like that. Like one player.
Yeah, or 2.
Yeah, you could do 2.
But yeah, they have to be, whatever. Yeah, you could stash a great player on there if you want, but if you're not going to use them, then anybody can come and take them.
Yeah.
Because that's how it works in the league. Practice squad players are not safe.
I guess, yeah, then you could put a great player in there. I mean, you could star whatever if you wanted to, just as like an extra like IR spot.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I mean, I guess it's essentially like having waivers with just a slight.
Well, it kind of gives us. Remember last year when we were thinking about different ways to do like where you could, if somebody was sitting on your bench too long, they would like automatically drop it.
I can tell you right now, looking at my team, it's going to be very annoying to me to see several players who do well sitting on benches not being used.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we set a precedent.
I was already thinking about trading this week, but I'm like, I have nobody that I could give up that would not do my team in return for the trade.
Yeah.
I am not feeling confident on my team, but I will work and I will fight.
I think he'll do fine in the end. I mean,
I just really don't want to not be playing in December.
You just don't want to be in those bottom
because
two slots.
You will not see a person fight like I will next offseason to get rid of the 6-man playoffs if I don't get to keep playing. I will like boycott the league.
I mean, this is definitely like a test season. So if it doesn't work out and if people hate it, then we switch back.
We will see. But I'm not going to go there yet. I'm not going to let my mind go that far down the hole because I do think that I can mine these waivers. Mm-hmm. I've done it before.
You've done it before and very successfully. You may be getting the
waiver award. I think I will this year.
Wheeling and dealing award.
Oh, was that you last year? Yeah, you were the one that got
it. By quite a bit. I had 24 moves, which.
Well, before we get to the 4th and goal, I actually had one more stat, and I just wanted to point out our current leader in least points against is Josh. So,
okay,
he is still holding on to that.
That's insane. That is just purely insanity. I mean,
who's he playing against? Sorry, we need to pick against this person. The Destroyers are not going to score high. They may still win, but they're not going to.
Just so you know, Alex, so you know, you will probably score the lowest you'll ever score this week. And it'll be weird and odd, and you won't get it, but it's just the way it works.
The way it is.
It's just the way it works.
We'll see. He may still win, but he's not cracking 100.
Yeah.
Dave, do you have any thoughts about just football?
Well, I mean, obviously, the Aaron Rodgers shook the league to the core. This injuries in general this week were pretty devastating and annoying. That was rough. I was it's one of those weird situations where we were with some friends and my phone kept going off because Jordan was texting me and I wasn't watching the game. And then I looked at my phone. I had 16 unread texts, and it was my dad and Jordan and Josh talking about I don't know where you left off, Alex.
I think he's asking why he's going to have the lowest score of the year, and that's because you're playing Josh, and he will always have whoever plays him gets unnaturally low scores.
So if you look at Chuck's stats for the last 3 years,
with Alex, I'll give me your email.
3 years, Josh has had the lowest points against him, and it's very strange. He's always the lowest points against, so you will score very little. It's week 1. I'm always saying these weird scores and these things you scoring 87 points, my dad scoring 130 points. It's week 1. Look at my dad. Look at my dad's record.
The year that he scored the year he scored the 155, I think he got 2 wins.
I remember that. That was 2 years ago.
That was one of them. He started off so hot and he cooled down.
Just cracked. Yeah.
Well, I have a football thought, and it's an interesting one. I saw an article about how in Dallas there is now an AI Jerry Jones that you can pay, I believe, it was like 500, maybe 50 or $500. I don't remember, to go into the room with AI Jerry Jones and just ask him questions.
That wasn't where I thought you were going with that. So that seems better.
You could my fantasy with him.
So you can just ask. So it's like somebody compiled all of like Jerry Jones.
Yeah, like it's like a digital Jerry Jones sitting in front of you, moving and talking with his voice, answering your questions. I'm assuming this is just the first step of Jerry Jones importing his consciousness into a computer so that he will always own the Cowboys.
That's definitely possible. I mean, hey, how about we crowdfund it and then get Jerry Jones on this podcast and ask him questions?
Yeah, get the AI on here. How much could that
AI?
I mean, why would they
chips in like $80?
Why would they turn down the #1 rated podcast covering Make Fantasy Football Great Again?
I know.
Absolutely perfect. Well, I think we've got a great week ahead. Week 2 always sheds a little more light on things, and you can start to see actual trends instead of just this first stuff. We've got a big game tomorrow. I think, Eagles and Vikings?
Mm-hmm.
So that'll tell us a lot about both of those teams that kind of underwhelmed in week 1. And hopefully everybody avoids any devastating injuries this week.
Yeah, hopefully everybody stays healthy. That'd be ideal. But thanks for those who stuck around. Looks like we got 3 viewers. Not sure who the third one is, but usually if it's Jordan, he chimes in. But thank you for sticking around. If you subscribe, and you ring that bell, you will get notified as soon as we go live. So you don't necessarily have to wait for a message. So subscribe, all that great stuff. And we will see you guys next week. All right. Later, guys.
Yeah.